And we are live, everybody. Mics are hot, and we're in. We made it. Orange and blue today. Broncos training camp. You saw the thumbnail. You know what we're going to talk about. Guess what? Russell Wilson
cooking.
Is starting to cook.
It was a quick service kitchen today, too.
Yes, it was. Fast food, but good fast food, I guess. Is that the way?
Not fast food, good food quickly.
That's the difference.
That was a Seinfeldism when one of Jerry's friends gets a job at Kenny Rogers Roasters.
Okay.
And Jerry got him fired in a way because the friend chose to have lunch with Jerry, catch up, and blows off a meeting. And so, of course, he gets fired. And the job he gets next is managing at Kenny Rogers Roasters. And as he says, it's not fast food. Good food quickly.
Good food quickly.
And there was some good food quickly coming in the 2-minute drill at the end of practice.
Yes.
And that's, you know what? The very beginning may be a very good place to start, as was said in Do Re Mi in Sound of Music. But I think the end today is a good place to start.
The end is a good place to start because Russell Wilson and the Broncos offense using tempo as a weapon and going after this Broncos defense. Once again, we saw him and Jerry Jeudy connect on a big shot. Marvin Mims is coming through. More on him in a little bit. But Russ is definitely feeling it.
Yeah, and we'll get into that Mims play and what that could mean for Mims and sort of how things are shaking out at the wide receiver position. But it was classic Russell Wilson. You get a rush, he's flushed, goes to his right, sees a late opening receiver downfield. Jaquan McMillan is trailing Marvin Mims, makes the play. I mean, that was the type of play that you traded for Russ in the first place.
That's what you wanted.
Yes.
And you got it today. Jaquan, not a good day for Jaquan, by the way. Yeah. Not a good day for Jaquan in one-on-ones. Not a good day for Jaquan in team drills. But the confidence in Russell Wilson is growing. You see it on the field. Without Justin Simmons, again,
and
we'll
also
make that
without
note.
K'Wan Williams. And so when you're going in 2 minute, that's impactful because 2-minute defense is basically going to be nickel and or dime. So K'Wan's going to be out there in those packages. He wasn't out there today. Justin Simmons wasn't out there today. So, yeah, take out 40% of your nickel defense in the secondary. It's going to look a little bit different. So that has to be accounted for in this discussion.
Right. Well, and another thing that has to be accounted for is Russell Wilson. Imagine who he's had to practice against for years and years. And I've always said there's one quarterback in NFL history that's really developed against a great defense. Usually a young quarterback against a great defense, it's a trouble spot. Russell Wilson is that guy. And, we're talking about the Broncos being down defenders. Mace, the God's honest question is there aren't many defenses he'll face as good as the Broncos when they're at full strength.
Right. But they're not at full strength right now. This is probably more analogous to the type of defense he'll see in a fair amount of the games going forward this year. And
sure,
it's been promising. He's making good decisions. He's escaping. And oh, by the way, on that 2-minute drive, he's doing it with 2 backup tackles because Mike McGlinchey left practice after having his ankle kind of rolled. And then, of course, Garrett Bowles got another veteran day. It's not a veteran day for him. He's coming off of a fractured ankle day. Mm-hmm. And they're easing him back into work. So that meant you're seeing Cam Fleming and Isaiah Prince at the tackle spots.
Yeah. Ohio State product, Isaiah Prince, who's been in the league for a while. He's played in some games, and even Coach Payton after practice talked about him. And
not Payton, it was Joe Lombardi.
Sorry, Joe
we
Lombardi.
Actually did not hear from
Sean Payton today. Right.
For the first time in training camp, he let the assistants handle it. So
he was probably okay with that.
Yeah. So it was Joe Lombardi and Vance Joseph and Ben Kotwika talking. And, we didn't have a chance to chop up everything, but there were some interesting things said.
Yes.
By the coordinators. We'll get into that later on.
Yeah. Lurker Troy's worried about the right tackle being lost for the year. Well, with McGlinchey getting rolled up on in camp, it's something that you never want to see. And it's one of those plays that it's football. Things are going to happen. Vance Joseph even talked about it in reference to the preseason. And if you play guys and somebody gets banged up, you're wrong. And if you don't play guys, you get to the regular season, someone gets banged up, you're wrong. So it's kind of the nature of being a head coach or a coach in the National Football League. With McGlinchey we'll keep an eye on that situation.
You'll keep an eye on it, but man, I mean, if it's extended, his absence, what the heck kind of black cloud is hanging above the right tackle position?
I actually like Cam Fleming as a left more than I do as a right. How about you? Like, I think Cam Fleming can do both. Obviously, he's a seasoned veteran, and we appreciate having a player like Cam Fleming on the roster. You need that. But personally, for me, when I see Fleming at left, I get a better feeling than when I see him as a right tackle.
Yeah. And just to kind of go through it, do you know how many different starting right tackles the Broncos have had from the 2014 season?
From Orlando Franklin?
After moving Orlando Franklin inside, the original sin of all this.
Okay.
So now, see if you can guess. I'm going to count, but I wrote this a while ago.
Okay, you wrote this a while ago. I'm going to guess they have seen 10 different starting tackles.
19.
Whoa! Not even close. Half Eddie. Like, that's 19.
See if you can guess the person who has the most starts at right tackle for the Broncos over the last 9 seasons.
Oh, boy. Menelik Watson?
Oh, no. He only has 7.
7. Okay.
He ranks 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th.
10th.
He's right
Middle
there,
of the pack.
right there in the middle. He's
Okay.
Menelik Watson.
All right. I hesitate to say Donald Stevenson. Give it to me.
You're close. Donald Stevenson is number 2 on the chart with 17 starts.
You're Casey Kasem today.
Yes.
It's number 2. Keep reaching for the stars.
So number 1, it's like Family Feud, right?
Yeah, is it Donald Stevenson?
Yes.
Ding.
17 starts. Yeah, that's number 2. Number 1 is Elijah Wilkinson. 19 starts.
Okay.
Yeah, but like top 5 answers on the board. Who started the most games at right tackle for the Broncos since 2014? Elijah Wilkinson be number 1. Donald Stevenson number 2. Cam Fleming is number 3. Bobby Massey number 4. Michael Schofield number 5.
Wow.
Followed by Jared Veldheer, Billy Turner, DeMar Dotson, Louis Vasquez, Menelik Watson, Chris Clark, Alan Barber, Paul Cornick, Ryan Harris, Jawan James, Tyson Brilo, and then tied for 17th and last with 1 start apiece, Calvin Anderson, Cyrus Kouangio, and Jake Rogers. Yes.
Wow. It's been a minute.
And
it's been a minute, everybody.
Yeah. So, well, Cam Fleming would be the next player up, but what if Garrett Bowles continues to struggle? I mean, it's crazy.
Well, it's quite possible. And I said this morning on Schlereth and Evans.
So McGlinchey will be 20.
This might be just who Garrett Bowles is now. And I think we all need to realize that with every player, including Russ. I got some thoughts on Javonte that are coming up, but like Garrett Bowles, he'll be back and he'll be like 80% or whatever. Like that might just be who he is, Mace, this year and maybe even going forward.
Yeah. And can you live with that? Jake says, I'd love to see Russ have a season like Jake Plummer did in 2003. Great run game with deadly play action rollouts. Do you want 2003 Plummer or 2005 Plummer for Russell Wilson?
I want 2005 Plummer.
2005 was the no mistake Jake.
Yes.
Year.
Yes.
And that was what got you within 1 game of Super Bowl 40.
Yeah, we did that. What if? Go back and watch it in our archives.
It's there.
And yes, I get it with Nate. Nate's a regular here, and he's like, unless I see it in real plays, I don't in real time in a game, it doesn't matter. I get it, but the confidence starts here. If he was stinking it up in camp, and we'd be like, wait till the games, everybody.
Well,
at least we're seeing something now.
Well, that's the thing. A week ago, we were talking about, where does Russ stand, and how you kind of understood the perception of people looking at his struggles in practice based on last year. Well, we've seen it get better. Again, you're seeing it get better with the secondary compromised. Yes, but it is getting better. I think it's a little of column A and a little of column B, whether it's Russ and the offense finding its footing or the injuries helping. I think it's both.
Right. And it's okay that it's both.
Yeah.
There's no problem with that. By the way, the Russell meter today, that's got to be not okay, but great.
Was it great before that drive?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't. But he finished strong. Good. And, Russ is going to have those moments. And with the pressure that he's facing, with the rollouts that we saw, it was vintage Russ on display, just like the last 2 games of the season when he had 3 touchdowns a game.
Yeah.
He had 3 touchdowns a game.
Including,
just 2 games, but still.
on the ground because he had the touchdown run. But
right.
Yes.
but that was with Jerry Rosburg just kind of saying, this is what we're going to do. Sean Payton's more advanced in his offensive thinking than Jer Bear. Sorry, Jer Bear.
Well, it was Justin Outen calling.
Justin Outen actually calling plays.
Yeah.
Going home at night too. Thank you, Justin Outen.
Yeah, it was Jerry Rosburg simply gave the instructions
right
that we're going to play to Russ's strengths.
Hey, do that.
Which you have to wonder, like if you're Rosburg sitting there as a consultant for most of the year and you're watching that offense and you're watching Russ try to, be a square peg mesh
Frankenstein
round hole. How do you think he handled that all year? Like, how do you think like Rosburg's brain was churning watching this?
It'd probably steamrolling out, like frustration.
Like how he probably did very well to kind of keep things to himself and not have an outright mutiny going on.
Right.
And because he did keep a lot of things to himself, they asked him to be the head coach the last couple of games of the season. And honestly, like to me, that is where hope for this season lies, not just in Sean Payton walking in, but in the fact that in those 2 games, Russell Wilson did look like Russell Wilson again.
Right. That gives you hope.
Now, that means you're going to risk extra hits on him, extra contact, injury.
Yes.
This is just the roll of the dice you're going to have to take in terms of getting him right. You're hoping, though, as we talk about the run game, you're hoping that part of the offense, that phase, can take the pressure off of him and mean that teams can't simply pin their ears back and attack off the edges the way that we're seeing sometimes in training camp from this Broncos defense.
Right. Now people are wondering, is a guy like Tom Compton an option? We've got discussion about the wide receiver position with Brandon Johnson getting a little bit banged up today.
Let's talk about Tom Compton because, as you saw last year, he dealt with back issues all season. He got out there late in the season, and the back issues flared up again. I think physically Tom Compton probably is not an option.
Right. And that was I don't want to say Butch Berry thing, but it was like, okay, bring him along and see what he can do.
Well, he did come over from San Francisco with Butch Berry.
Yes. So we'll see.
So there was that.
Is there a veteran option out there? It's tough on offensive line. Like running backs, there are options. For example, a Kareem Hunt who visited with the Saints and now is visiting with Indianapolis. He didn't sign with the Saints.
You know who was a college right tackle who got moved inside?
Who's that?
Dalton Reisner.
I often wondered why Dalton didn't get right tackle reps.
I've had worse ideas in my life, I think, than that one.
Well, I mean, get a guy that's hungry.
Yeah.
Why don't you get something to eat? I know you hungry. Like, yeah, you get a guy that's hungry.
He's rested too.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm just saying.
I've been waiting to text him until he gets a job. Should I text him and say, like, hey, would you play right tackle?
He'd probably be like, I'm willing to do anything. Like, that's what happens. Like, he's like, I just want to play.
Mm-hmm.
I want to play and help.
He deserves to play.
Yeah.
He deserves to be on a roster somewhere. What the hell's the matter with you? I don't know what we're yelling about. Like, okay, I like that idea.
Nice one, Brick.
I like that idea. Yeah, there you go, Brick. I ate a big red candle.
Yeah.
It's orange or blue today.
I love when they're saying the name, I'm Brian Fantana, and he says Brian Fantana. Or no, you're Brick. I love Lamp, as Brick would say.
Yes. You're just looking at things and saying that you love them. I love Russell Wilson.
Well, by the way, we got to take a quick detour here because Ron Burgundy reference. Remember how he's, says, I'm Ron Burgundy? And the brilliant Fred Willard playing the producer, says, anything you put in that prompter, Burgundy will read. So today, elsewhere in the sports talk universe, you had one of the all-time screw-ups. You had on Colin Cowherd's show talking about, he was saying, okay, you can't win the Super Bowl with these quarterbacks. One of the quarterbacks listed on a graphic, and then Cowherd rattled it off.
Without correcting himself or catching it.
Was Dwayne Haskins. Man.
Did he apologize? Please tell me he's already apologized.
I hope he did, but that's just,
and someone needs to get fired.
You can't have that mistake.
Yeah.
My goodness. I mean, honestly, and someone responded to me on Twitter with this, but I had the thought that it was like in the film Major League when the Indians owner and the executives, they pass out the roster and like, I haven't heard of half these guys. And most of the guys I've heard of are way past their prime. And then one person says, "This guy here is dead." And then the owner says, "Cross him off then."
Oh boy, yeah. Howdy,
By the way, I'm
y'all.
wearing a Major League shirt today. This is let's see if we can get it.
Lou Brown.
Lou Brown.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Tire World. Lou, it's Charlie from the Indians. How'd you like to manage the Indians this year? Oh, I don't know. Let me get back to you, Charlie. I got a guy on the other line about some white walls. I'll talk to you later. God, I'm Lou Brown. Lou Brown's my spirit animal, I think, as far as characters in sports movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you may run like Mays, but you hit like
beep and beep.
Yes.
Orange and Blue today. We're presented by Sean Ponda, Russell Wilson, cooking now without Brandon Johnson. We're gonna add that in there.
Hurts.
That stings. Now Marvin Mims is doing more. Marvin Mims is looking better. I think you asked Kotwika. Did I get that right?
I asked
Kotwika.
I asked him specifically about Montreal, Washington. He was also asked about Marvin Mims.
Yes, he was. Bruce asked about Marvin Mims because I was going to say, nice question.
All
Bruce.
coming from my side of the press conference, because Bruce Hurdle from Fox 31 is usually
to your right.
To my right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some questions about Marvin Mims. As a receiver, he's doing more. He's obviously got an option as a return man. Montreal, Washington making big plays as a receiver today.
Yes,
also working on special teams. Taylor Grimes is still there, everybody. So you're getting a little thinner, but now I'm getting are they going to look at Jarvis Landry now? Are they going to bring in a veteran now? Where's Rashard Higgins now? Like, okay, that's also part of the discussion now.
It is, but the Broncos, I don't think, need to go after the shiny objects just yet. I still want to see where these guys can go.
You get to the preseason game.
Yeah. Look, when you see Marvin Mims make a play like that today, nice work by Russell Wilson to escape pressure and roll out. But you see Marvin Mims make a catch like that. Okay, that's a sign that he's starting to progress in the right direction and can help you.
And we didn't see that earlier in camp.
And we're seeing a lot of good routes from Brandon Johnson. It doesn't seem like Brandon Johnson's injury is serious, by the way. So I think the Broncos dodged a bullet there. It looked bad because, like, for a moment, no cart. He walked back to the locker room. There was a moment it looked pretty serious because he wasn't putting weight on it at first, but then they examined him and took a further look at him, and then he went back in. But I think you still keep going down the path of seeing what these young guys can do. I mean, yes. Marquez Callaway's starting to make some plays as well.
Right.
So
you've got options. You've got options.
And Callaway had a good season for the Saints back in 2021.
Led them in receiving.
Yeah, this is not a room that's bereft of talent and possibilities here. So just, I know everyone like, oh, we have to have this guy. We have to have this guy. No. Just kind of be patient.
And I don't want to sound cruel, because these are people, right? Dalton Rice was a friend. We don't make fun of the situation.
People are people.
So why should it be?
You and I should get along so awfully, but we don't
get along awfully. Yeah, we get along awfully well. Or as Mr. Coach Klein said, things are going to get awfully physical. That was read by you. Mr. Coach Klein.
You know, Mr. Coach Klein was a little more neurotic than that.
He was.
Yes. Like, no.
He runs to the right. No, he runs to the left. Mm-hmm. My brain hurts. Where am I at? It's what training camp feels like.
Visualize the puppy. What you have to do.
Like, oh, is it little baby?
And again, all of a sudden, he gets his play design mojo.
Yes, back. He gets it back.
Henry
Winkler,
got your manhood back. Winkler, one of the nicest people
period
the earth.
Yeah.
Not just in show business, one of the nicest people, period.
Yes. Montreal, Washington is a nice person, and I'm glad to see him make plays on offense. The special teams thing, you can find returners. And my point was about the people before we got off track singing. Those guys are going to be out there. I'm sorry. I don't want to sound like an aloha, but like, give me a name that's on the street right now. 9 times out of 10, in a week or 2 or 3, he's probably still going to be there. Teams don't like to pay veterans until after week 1 when their salaries are not fully guaranteed.
And that's why you can be patient. I think let this.
And we just ripped off 4 guys: Marvin Mims, Marquez Callaway, Montreal, Washington, Taylor Grimes. That's behind Brandon Johnson.
You know why I think there's a little bit to kind of delve into the psychology of what people are thinking, and this may be presumptuous, and if that's the case, I'm sorry. But I think when you see Kareem Hunt go off the market, now everyone's like, oh, well.
But did he? Because he went to Indy. Pelissero reported he went to Indy. There was a report, fake news, that said he signed with the Saints because he
Yeah.
worked out with the Saints yesterday. Then Pelissero said he had a good workout and now he's on his way to Indy.
Yeah.
So it's like these guys are there, man. They're there. Where's playoff Lenny at? Leonard Fournette kicking around somewhere. Like Ezekiel Elliott hasn't signed anywhere. Same thing goes for the wide receivers. The problem is tackles. It's thin.
Tackles are
everywhere.
like QB. Like there just aren't enough.
Collect them all.
Yes. Cam Fleming could probably start for a third of the teams in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's a nice piece to have, and he's probably going to have to start for this team multiple games, maybe at both sides at some point this year.
Yes.
So it's great having him around. But yeah, like I always say, college football has no problem producing running backs and wide receivers. Plenty of them. A glut of them in terms of players who can be reasonably productive at this level. Tackles, QBs, that's another matter entirely.
Yes.
That's why tackles get paid. Now, there's a reason, and one of the reasons why it's one of the core positions, and probably on an offense, only behind QB as a core position you have to get right. With all respect to the receivers and running backs, tackle is up here, and then QB is just a notch above. Right?
Yes, but they're right up there.
It's premium because you protect the quarterback, but it's also premium because there are just so few players who can do it really well. Look, that's why the Broncos locked up Garrett Bowles when he had his breakthrough season of 2020. The alternatives at that moment weren't great. It's also why when we did our what if the Broncos had not taken taking Justin Fields instead, and you're in that universe where you take Charles Cross in 2022 because you have the draft pick.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry,
anyway,
folks.
Who's hot? That was Russell Wilson today. Who's not? Well, Mike McGlinchey getting banged up. Where's your
McMillan struggling today?
Jaquan had a bad day, and
Yeah.
we love him. We love his game. He's certainly feisty, and that fires people up because when you go up against him, you want to get it because that little guy is going to talk to you if he gets it.
Feisty and a little bit of grabbing going on, and Mims's catch was at McMillan's expense.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, Jaquan was mad at himself on that play.
Yes,
understandably so.
Yes, very much so.
There's a video out there. Someone was shooting from the hillside. You can see how upset he gets.
Concern level. I know we have the Russell meter. What about the Bulls McGlinchey meter? Concern because mine's like if here's the top, I might be like right here. Maybe not here or here so much, but right here.
Yes, I like that, Tommy.
Oh my God, what happened to your face? What happened to your offensive tackles?
Yeah, I'm not a fat guy in a little coat. That guy
in a little coat. It's training camp.
Richard, what's happening?
Oh. That's what I'm saying about these tackles.
Tommy
Mace.
want wingy.
I want Tommy. Cecil want tackles because these tackles aren't good.
Okay. I'd say right now
you can't do anything, and they're no good.
If we're going on the Defcon scale of concern, I'd say I'm right about Defcon 3 head to Defcon 2 on the tackles.
Okay.
We're waiting to hear obviously more details about Mike McGlinchey, but we've talked about Garrett Bowles and how he hasn't looked the way you'd want him to look coming off of the injury last year. Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably about to be Defcon 2. And of course, Defcon 1
means it's over. Means bye-bye, everybody. Yeah. So we're almost to Defcon 2.
A lot of people get that
tackles.
wrong, by the way.
I know they get the scale wrong because you think 5 is greater than 1. Defcon 1 is
Defcon
end
5,
of the world.
Defcon 5 is peace. Okay, that's just if you
sounded like Boss Nass there. Peace.
I was just actually thinking of war games. Like see that scale up there, that thing, Defcon. Usually a 5, which means peace. It's still a 4 because of that stunt you pulled.
It's a great movie.
That's a
War
great
Games
movie. Can you believe that movie's 40 years old?
No, not at all.
That is it's a phenomenal movie.
Can you believe we're still on the edge of nuclear war? No. Anyway,
aren't we closer to midnight?
Yes,
on the
scale,
clock
on the doomsday
than
clock
we've ever been.
Yes. Yeah, that's terrible, people.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
Fix it. Get it right.
Fix it.
You want to start save the planet by saving humanity and not offing each other. By the way, you want to know my dark theory about why there isn't more evidence of contact with other beings from other planets.
Okay.
My grim theory is that in the spectrum of existence, every other sentient species offed itself with planet destroying weapons before they could reach a point where they could master interstellar travel.
Do you know my theory on that?
Yeah, tell me.
We're the only race that acts like this. We're the only race that allows people to starve. We're the only race that allows all these problems that we have. Other races, which are much more advanced and civilized, are much more advanced and civilized.
Well, here's the thing. I'd like to think they got, but my point is that they couldn't get past this point.
I believe
and that's why. I hope you're right, and that
I believe they have.
theory is
And
right.
honestly, I think it's more interdimensional than it is galactic travel. But that's a whole other podcast. Okay,
so we're talking about the parallel universes.
Yes. Oh, yes, for
Okay.
sure. 1000%.
All right. Yeah, we could have a long discussion about that.
Oh, yes. Nate's calling tinfoil hat time. You always give me crap about the tinfoil hat. And I'm like, how many conspiracy theories have to come true before people stop saying Cecil has a tinfoil hat? Like, okay.
I mean, but there are some conspiracy theories that defy.
Yeah,
logic.
there's my 2 rules in life: don't be dumb, and the other one's don't be in a cult.
Well, it's like the whole thing of like people who believe the Earth is flat, right? And that NASA's a hoax.
Yeah.
That
Kyrie, come on.
No, look, because there's no way those notions are true, because too many people would have to be in on a cover up, and inevitably you get people who blab.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
because
why
it's just like the NFL. People love talking.
Oh gosh,
people love talking in the NFL.
You and I have been to enough combines and Senior Bowls to know. Yeah.
That's all they want to do.
Yes,
that's all they want to do. Hey, how's it been? Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
You know, I think there is some elemental human need to, if you've got something, share it. Like, oh, I got a good one. Here we go. Like, boy, if I got something for you.
Yes.
I'm going to share it.
I'm going to share my thoughts on Javonte Williams.
Oh, first of all, the nice comment. Got the opportunity from Keith. Keith saying, got the opportunity to see both these fine gentlemen at training camp this year. Class act. Hey,
thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
And if you see us, say hi, man. I love talking to the fans.
Talk to a lot of people on the hillside this year. It's been great interacting with everyone I've seen. I'm sure I'll bump into some more people down at the game on Friday night in Glendale. So, yeah.
Mace's on the road.
Hit me up. I'll be Arizona. I'll be in you.
Let's talk Javonte Williams. Now, Orlando Franklin.
Speaking of Arizona, I got to make one reference.
Okay.
Take cover, Arizona. If you are of a very specific age bracket, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
Very specific in that bracket, though. Let's get very specific about Javonte. Orlando thinks there's a problem there. I don't, but I also know Samaje is going to play a lot. There's some rumblings from our friends in the press. I won't out them in terms of who it is. I'll tell you off air. But there's some very well-placed people that seem to think Samaje is going to be the lead back and Javonte is going to be brought along a little bit slower than we think. But we've seen him at practice, and we definitely respect Orlando for sure. But this talk about Javonte not being, I'm like, he's not 100%. But we know that going in, Mace. Why are people talking about this?
How many times have we been saying that early in the season it's going to be very much a split deal at running back?
Yeah.
Okay.
50-50, everybody.
We've been talking about this, the moment when Javonte got back out there on the practice field during OTAs and started doing a few things. Yeah, he still had a ways to go, but that's when we started talking about, okay, he might be in uniform and ready to go week 1, but this is not going to be all the way. So
right.
It's one of those things where I know everyone's buzzing about it, but it's like, there's no news here. News has the word new in it. There's nothing new about that sentiment that at least early on, Samaje Perine's going to have a huge chunk of the workload.
Yes, and I said this on air with Stokely and Zach. I'll say it now that Edward asked about Josh Jacobs. Until someone reputable reports that, because you have Dov Kleeman, who we don't know, and he's actually in Morocco. Where is he? I think he's in somewhere in the Mediterranean area. Israel. Okay, so I don't know Dov. I know he's disagreed with me on the Sam Darnold was almost a 49er thing. which I was right on, by the way, but whatever. I was bitter for a while, but I'm over it now. And he's just retweeted Mike Florio. God bless Mike Florio. You and I both know him. He's a nice enough guy, whatever. We'll leave our opinions for other times. But nobody, we talk about people loving to talk. There's been a command from on high at Dove Valley. Nobody's talking. So this whole, like, the Broncos are in on Josh Jacobs, like,
it's probably agent driven.
It's agent driven for
Okay,
sure,
that's
because
the
most
thing.
information is, especially if we're talking about, is Florio.
And
So you have to
when we're-
consider the source.
and the more teams that are put out there by the agent, you're hoping to, create options, right?
Right.
And even
right.
the team that may be trading the player, the Raiders, would also want to create the impression of
Right.
having multiple teams interested
Yes.
in the running back. And the bottom line on Josh Jacobs is this: unless there are no other viable options from other teams, don't expect the Raiders to trade Josh Jacobs within the division. So
Right.
I'd say don't get your hopes up on that one.
Right. Do not get your hopes up. Nate knows what's up. Raised in Arizona, great
Well,
underrated movie.
That is. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Part of Major League, to bring it back to that, was filmed in Arizona too.
That's what we call a callback. Are you
Yes.
ready for Pat Surtain?
The question is the NFL ready for Pat Surtain?
Pat Surtain got a one-on-one with him today. We'll be playing some clips on this show. They're also going to be released on all our digital channels. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. We are Denver Sports. We're Denver Sports COM on Twitter, I believe, right? Denver
We
Sports
are.
Com.
We are.
But I asked Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was talking to the media while I was talking to Pat Surtain. And I asked Pat Surtain many questions, but one was about Russell Wilson. Here's what the All-Pro best corner in the game had to say about your quarterback.
That guy at the podium, number 3.
Yeah.
You go up against him every day, man. And now you've seen him for a couple of years, entering year 2. What do you think of Russell Wilson's? What's he got for the fans this season?
Man, I don't know if you've seen it, but just the way how his approach to the game, his leadership, his work ethic is very inspiring. Just seeing him come out here and just compete at a high level and make plays at a high level, is very inspiring. And like I said, I'm going to have my popcorn on the sideline watching him because it's going to be a very fun year. And like I said before, just his mindset, his demeanor, his attitude towards the game. If you want to resemble a guy, for the next 10 years, or if you want to have a further career, I would say resemble him because, he's done it at a high level year in and year out. And, he's just a great role model to look at, you know what I mean? So, he's going to do big things this year, and I can't wait to see.
Big things this year, and he can't wait to see. I wish I would have asked it differently. It's one of those, you've done this before, I'm sure, where after an interview, you're like, man, I should have asked it differently. Because Russell, as we've said on the show, is going after Surtain more than he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year when he tried, it wasn't very good. This year, not often, but he is having some success against Surtain.
Some success.
Some,
yes.
very small, but some. Last year was nothing.
I mean, also for Cortland Sutton making plays against Pat Surtain as well. That's a good sign too.
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory on that. I wonder how much of that is because they're actually doing one-on-one work this year. In one-on-one, you're throwing at the cornerback. It's not like you're throwing it away, right? You get to a practice like Nathaniel Hackett had, and you're only doing team reps. And you just see, okay, Surtain's got this player covered, and then you move on. You don't test, you don't try to probe and make things work. Well, you've got Wilson, who is throwing in Surtain's direction in one-on-ones because of the nature of the drill.
Right.
And hey, I think you build a little bit of confidence with that.
I think it has a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
A lot. You've just unlocked the key. Like one-on-ones is football, Nathaniel Hackett. 7-on-7 is football, Nathaniel Hackett.
9-on-7.
9-on-7 is certainly football. And the pit. Ooh, the pit. We got to see offensive line versus defensive line today.
It looks like a football practice now.
Mm-hmm.
As our normal football practice, one that we're used to seeing.
Yes. One that we love to see.
Yeah. I think Nathaniel Hackett tried to reinvent the wheel. Tried to do too much too soon. Sometimes you have to just go bit by bit by bit.
Mhm.
He didn't do that.
If he had done that, he'd probably still be here.
Yeah.
Much to the, I don't want to scare you fans out there, but
and also the other thing that would have kept him here is if they hadn't traded for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
They just ridden out last year with Drew Lock and then a Mitchell Trubisky or Baker Mayfield coming in.
Mhm.
I think if that happened, he'd still be here too.
right.
And we'd be
The
talking.
what ifs abound.
Yeah. Anyway, team reps, team hugs.
Greater than team hugs.
Yeah.
Definitely a more humble Russ. You see that at the end of his press conference today. He said, "Go Broncos." Let's Ride thing is done.
Dead. It's done. No more Let's Ride.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a Let's Ride. Maybe I should take the Let's Ride towel off of the backdrop at
The
my
display.
place. Yeah.
Mhm. It's one of those things. Take it down. Keith asked, does Taylor Grimes have a chance at 53? Yeah.
A
Yeah.
chance. It's more likely practice squad.
We
for
debate
him.
that. We debated on the drive. Like, I
Yeah.
think he'll get stolen.
Well, let's see what
Depends
he does
on what he does in the
games.
preseason.
They could hide him. I mean, we could see a lot of Michael Bandy and Nick Williams.
What was your favorite? Speaking of conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
what was your favorite conspiracy theory about hiding players? Because do you remember the Bradley Van Pelt? Like, they got to hide him. They got to hide him so that he can go through. I was like, oh,
I will tell you a story from
story time with Mace.
from
Yay.
2017 training camp. I wrote some nice things about Elijah Wilkinson, and I was told, bring that horse back into the barn a bit because they were trying to sneak him through the practice squad and didn't want a lot of good things out there. Like, I thought Wilkinson was doing really well in one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, this guy looks like he's got something, right?
Right.
And we said, no, we don't want
And
that.
this is
out
when
there.
you're working
Uh-huh.
for the team.
Uh-huh.
So if team coverage, and God bless all of our friends who do team coverage, and I've always appreciated everyone in this business. It's a
Just telling you, like,
we love the
it's
business more
6
than it loves us.
It's
Let's
6
just say
years
that.
down the line, so I think I'm okay to say.
Yeah, and I will say this: like, if team coverage is a little more rah-rah and maybe even generic at times, again, no offense, I'm okay with that because I understand the game. Because what you said is incredibly true.
Uh-huh.
You do not want to let the cat out of the bag, horse out of the barn. What other animal references can we make? Like, you don't want to let
Well,
the fish.
if you let the fish out of the tank, the fish is dead.
Yeah, a fish out of your hand. Like, you catch the fish and then it flops around and it gets back in the
the
water.
fish, yeah, because the
I don't know.
because imagine if you were pulled out of an environment where you were breathing air, right? That's what the fish is when you pull it out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Fish has got to get back down there, or it's going to die.
Keith says the pig out of the pen,
That's a good one. Hey,
chicken out of the coop. All right. Yeah, all those work.
dog out of the kennel. Although,
Yes. Orange and blue today.
cats out of the cradle. No, that's a song. Anyway,
Yeah, there you go.
I
Are we done for today?
think so.
I always ask because we just do these organically. So it's like, let's get what we need to get out. And it's going to be more than 30 minutes most days.
It feels right because I have to go back to Dove Valley Sanctuary Training Center and pick something up that I left at my desk in the media room. So I got to go back
Okay.
before I hop on the drive. I'm going to be on in the 5 o'clock hour with
You do have to
D-Mac
go
and,
then.
and Chad Brown. And
Chad Brown.
you're going to be handling the 6 o'clock hour.
Denver Sports tonight.
Denver Sports Tonight. Cecil flying solo while I'm writing.
Well, you're riding solo.
Yeah.
Riding shotgun.
You're
with
writing
me.
solo. I'm writing solo.
And we are punchy. We're slap happy because it's training camp. I don't know what day it
Are we
is.
slappies or are we just slap happy?
Let's say slap happy. Although
So
sometimes
we're
it'll
not
be
happy
slappy.
slappies. We're just slap happy.
Slappy happy. Happy slappy hero puff. Happy scrappy. She loves him, obviously.
Obviously. Oh.
We gotta go.
Yeah, before we start rattling off the other titles of that scene.
Yeah, we
gotta
can't.
go.
We cannot do that at all
Oh,
whatsoever.
Happy scrappy hero pup.
He's Andrew Mason. Follow him on whatever at Maze Denver. I'm
X,
at Cecil
Twitter,
Lammey, X,
Instagram,
something.
Threads.
His Thread's dead now.
I haven't been there in a few days.
It's dead. I
It-
think
it's just, it wasn't. Look,
it's
it
like
was-
Parlor or
was-
Mastodon. Like
it was rushed out because at that,
all of them are.
no, but this really was rushed out because there wasn't a proper tablet app for it. It doesn't work
Ooh.
on your desktop. You basically it was on your phone, and that's it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a terrible launch. What are you
Yeah.
thinking, Zuck?
Well,
Come on, Zuck.
Instagram on a tablet doesn't work either. I mean, it's there, but it's the same size as an iPhone. That's like the one, like Instagram and Threads. Get it. I use my tablet at least as much as my iPhone, probably more. I use it as probably more than I use my laptop. Get the app right for tablet people, okay? And then I can actually work with it. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Anyway,
Rant over.
I used that phrase yesterday. Rant over.
Rant over.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Orange
then,
and
then I
blue.
moved on to something else. I think I was complaining about why you can't get pickle juice at a grocery store because I was looking for pickle brine for a marinade. I didn't want the pickles. I just wanted the brine, right?
You couldn't find it?
They had it in like little 5-hour energy type of bottles.
What?
Yes, pickle juice, but it was expensive. It was like 6 ounces for $4.99. Like, what? Come on.
What?
Yeah,
Anyway.
I know.
You never know.
But yeah, I have a very specific marinade I like to do that involves pickle brine.
Share that recipe with me.
I will.
We'll share it with you. OBT is a BFD.
It's
We
a
love you
shared
guys.
moment.
Shared a moment. Okay, so we've done clerk. We haven't done mall rats. Fly, fat ass, fly.
Mallrats just doesn't have as much.
It has a few.
I mean,
It has a few.
the one I cite the most is about the escalator.
Yeah, that kid is back on the
'Cause
escalator.
That's how I feel. Kids are not
Oh, yeah.
taught to fear and respect the escalator, and there are always escalator accidents. Like because some kid was farting around on it.
I like Ben Affleck's line where he says, "I have no time for men with no fashion sense." I think I messed up that line, but it's something like that.
There's another line from him I think of in that movie.
Yeah. Like the back of a Volkswagen. Anyway, we gotta cut it. Anyway, it's orange and blue today.
Who's your
Sean
favorite new
Ponda.
kid?
We love you guys. Appreciate you. Stay tuned. And as always, please stay frosty. Mike's still hot.